So, John, before we get to the final three questions to close out the interview, we've got to touch on some of the amazing people that you've interviewed. A lot of them, we admire as well. You've had the pleasure of interviewing some of the biggest CEOs, including Disney's Bob Iger and IAC's Barry Diller. And then, of course, on the investment side, you've spoken with David Einhorn and Michael Burry. What have you kind of learned, or what have been some of your biggest takeaways from speaking to these people?
Well, I think that leaders and investors have different qualities and can have success with very different personalities. We talked earlier about confidence goes a long way for sure. I think Bob Iger at Disney, he is someone who had a very long career before he stepped into that CEO role. And he'd be the first to tell you, he's spoken extensively about the questions he had, can I lead? But when you get that shot and you use that experience you've got and you listen to the people around you, but you also have enough confidence to take these bold steps, I did see that in him. And, I think that while there are some acquisitions that they didn't make, which we could talk about that too, but the fact that, when he first stepped into that job, that there was almost a crisis immediately with Pixar and the tension between Steve Jobs and Disney at that point. It was palpable. And, that was a point where Iger had to make a decision, and he made a bold one very early on in his tenure. And you almost feel like that gave him a certain sense of confidence that he could keep doing deals. So, we look back and we're like, wow, Disney, they bought Pixar and they bought Marvel and they bought Lucasfilm and they did this deal for Fox, which then helped to launch Disney Plus as a streaming service. That ability to lead, inspire your team, have that confidence. I think that's very much something that I noticed with him. With investors like David Einhorn, Michael Burry, and others, they sometimes have the kind of the James Dean element. It's sort of this outsider's kind of viewpoint, still the confidence, but still the outsider. I remember when we did an interview with Michael Burry. He's based not too far from Apple headquarters there, but it feels like he's a world away from Silicon Valley, just working in a very, very simple, from what I can recall, cluttered office, and kind of speaks to him. We talked about the isolation of an entrepreneur. Like sometimes you just feel like you're out there on your own island and you just gotta keep going and believe in yourself. I think with some of those outsized investors, there is a certain amount of that, right? And you see it right now in the markets. Everybody sold off everything that they loved before. Now they hate it. Now everybody out there is sort of painting the picture of what the world will look like for the next 5 or 6 years. And they're saying, buy this, buy that, do this. And they're lemmings, right? Now they might be right. But consensus is easy. Going outside of that is uncomfortable. And there's only there's a select few that feel perfectly fine being there. So confidence, having conviction, these are some of the things I've noticed, whether it's a CEO or it's an investor, those things definitely shine through for sure.